Hi everyone, welcome to our TenMarks presentation today. Wanted to first start with, this is the first time we're using Google Hangout for a webinar, so please bear with us as we start going, just to make sure that things go smoothly. You will see on the left-hand panel a Q&A tab. If you have questions, please feel free to submit those during the course of the session. We will be answering those as they come in, but we'll also, some of them we're going to save at the end for Tara. Tara is one of our content managers. She actually runs our elementary school team here. She taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades for 10 years in California in both public and private schools, and has come to us with a wealth of experience and is going to be talking about some of how her experience is applying to TenMarks today. So at this point in time, I am going to turn things over to Tara.
My screen up here to share it with you all, and here we go. So today, at TenMarks we have 2 main products here, and I'm going to be focusing today on the one that's really designed to for teachers to prepare lessons and really save time doing so. And that product is known as TenMarks Math Teach. So our team of curriculum developers includes all former math teachers, math coaches, and we've taken the time to do what teachers really don't often have the time to do. When I was a teacher, I was juggling multiple subjects at once. I didn't have time to dive into everyone in the same way that I know that my students really needed. And so this product, TenMarks Math Teach, is really designed to save teachers the time and really get at the heart of the Common Core standards and help them to teach to the deep conceptual knowledge that's required by each of those standards. So right here what I'm looking at is the login screen. If you're familiar with TenMarks, you know that we can use the TenMarks Math side where you're going to go in and create assignments, or you can jump right in on the left-hand side here to prepare and deliver lessons, and that's how you'll access the products that I'm talking about today. So the next slide you see here is the Explore page, and you can see that we have lessons and resources that are covering grades 1 through 8 currently, with more grades coming soon. And if you're a free teacher, you actually have access to all of the curriculum resources from 4 standards in each grade level, and if you're a premium user, you'll have access to every standard across all of the grade levels, and we have a series of lessons for each of those standards. So jumping right in, I'm using the example today from one particular standard in 5th grade, and the standard is MD5C, which covers volume, and specifically the fact that volume is additive. And in this case, each standard lesson has we call this the tree page because of its resemblance to a tree. And you can see at the top here we have the branches of the tree, which outline the learning objectives of the standard. In this case, there are 6 learning objectives that we've broken the standard down into, that the teacher can clearly see all of the parts that students are going to be required to know how to do. And then down below, we have the root section of the tree. This is a really powerful section. It goes over the prerequisite knowledge that students should be really coming into this particular grade with, and they're going to need to know these things in order to be successful with the particular standard relating to volume. And you can see here we have standards coming down from 3rd grade dealing with area, and then a few prerequisites in 5th grade as well. And again, each standard comes with this sort of overview to give the teachers a real solid understanding of where they are and where they've been. So jumping into the next section, when I used to teach, I had a class of 34 students, and I had a big textbook for every subject, and I had to jump right in and start teaching, and often you just kind of get caught up in doing, okay, next lesson is volume, and you jump right in and you get halfway through your lesson, you realize kids don't have a clue what you're talking about. This Assess Readiness section of the Math Teach product is really designed as a quick, formative snapshot assessment for your students. You can use it with the whole class. You can use it sort of ahead of time to judge whether or not you think your students are ready. But mostly it paints a picture in the teacher's mind of these are the things that are important for the students to be able to do before they're ready to jump into the target lesson. So, for example, you'll see an image on the left here dealing with the area is additive standard coming down from 3rd grade. If your students do really well with these types of problems, they're probably ready to jump right into the focus lessons. And if they struggle with them or need a little bit more warm-up and practice before they're ready to go into the volume standards, you can give one of the included warm-up lessons. And each one is tagged to the particular prerequisite standard that this assessed readiness portion is assessing. So again, all of the work is done. Don't have to go digging through an old binder from a previous grade to come up with that perfect lesson that can just help students prepare. You'll be given it directly. Moving on, another section in TenMarks Math Teach is known as the Misconceptions. This is something that is really a teacher tool that they can use for planning purposes. Before jumping right in, it describes and illustrates with sample work the types of things that students might struggle with as you're teaching. As my team of educators worked on when we wrote the lessons, we really tried to mitigate these misconceptions through the types of work that we present in each lesson, but still we know things are going to happen, and this is really to give you an idea of the types of things that might go wrong to help your lessons run a little bit more smoothly and really prepare teachers. And you can see, again, specific examples. In this case, there are 3 misconceptions. The first one, deals with reminding teachers that, hey, sometimes students are going to only work partway through a multi-step problem. In this case, a student might think that the volume of this rectangular prism is 12, only paying attention to 2 dimensions instead of the 3rd dimension. So the focus lessons are the meat of the product, and you can see this is a sample from focus lesson 3. Each focus lesson has a title. It's connected to a particular one or more math practice standards that we really tried to focus on in in the creation of each of these lessons. On the right-hand side of the page, this is meant to be the student-facing portion, whereas on the left, you'll see that the teacher has questions that are designed to, target the particular understandings that we're looking for. And as the teacher goes through the lesson, the materials on the right-hand side will grow, change, animate, and sometimes very in-depth animation, sometimes a little bit more straightforward. In this case, again, you see how the questions are building. Now, the teacher can print out these questions ahead of time. They can use them to preview before they even jump into teaching and just to think about the types of things they should be focusing on. They can collapse these questions so that they're not visible to the students by clicking this little tab right here. And again, as the teacher goes through more, when we wrote these questions, we really thought about all of the different, trying to target students in approaching problems in many different ways, not just through rote memorization of processes, but really getting at the heart of multiple strategies and ways into solving problems. The teacher doesn't necessarily have to ask every single one of the questions on the left, but each of the questions are tied with a particular animation sequence. So, if the teacher just decides to, close those or collapse those questions ahead of time and go through the animations, he or she can just add their own spin on the lesson using our visuals to sort of guide the process. As a teacher, a couple things that I really appreciate about the way we've designed our focus lessons is that one, we have really clear and engaging visuals. My students always knew me as the type of teacher who could not draw for anything, and I would try to scribble up some sort of design or model on the whiteboard, and it was always a complete mess. So this would have saved me a lot of time and effort and really helped my students to visualize the things that I was trying to explain to them in words. So in addition to that, I also think that as a teacher, you often get caught up. I know I did this many times. You would be going through a lesson, you would be going so fast and skimming through everything, you forget to really focus on the important academic vocabulary, or you skim through things that are a little bit more challenging to talk about. So the questions on the left really draw my attention to the particular academic vocabulary, the specific types of concepts that I want to focus on during my lesson. The last part of a focus lesson is the differentiation piece. So again, we have kids in our class that are at all different levels, and how do you reach those every time, when you're only given sort of that main lesson that, all of your students aren't at the same level. So we've included remediate and challenge ideas for every single focus lesson. These can be used with small groups after teaching the lesson, or they can be used to modify the particular lesson that you're doing. In this case, this example here where students are asked to explore whether the statement shown on screen is always true, could be a quick math journal entry during the lesson for some of your students who need that extra challenge. Or it could be, the second idea might be something that you explore in small group work afterwards, where students are going to break apart more complex figures, such as ones with cavities. And again, this is just the sample for the challenge. And then, of course, when you're done teaching a lesson or particular set of lessons, you're going to want to tie that back in with independent practice, homework perhaps, and we can see that from the dashboard page on TenMarks Math Teach, you can click right back into TenMarks Math, toggle over there, and be ready to pick out a very specific assignment or set of assignments for your students. In this case, you see a screenshot here where as a teacher, I can go in and think, okay, well, what assignment am I going to give? I've just taught about volume of additive, or finding the volume of complex figures, and I have my 4 question types to choose from. And again, if you're a premium user, you can actually choose particular question types to assign, or you can pick the assignment that goes right along with what you just taught, so that you're able to bring it right back to an assignment that connects directly with what the students were just learning in the classroom with pretty much the click of one button. So that's pretty much a very quick run-through of TenMarks Math Teach. Again, it was designed by teachers for teachers to save you guys time. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, we're going to jump into the Q&A section of our presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Bethany.
Hi all. Okay, I am not 100% sure that the Q&A portion is working. If for any reason you are not able to submit questions in that portion, please go ahead. On the screen where you first clicked into this, there is a spot where you can put in comments, and please feel free to put in comments there. I forgot to mention I run marketing here at TenMarks, and 2 weeks ago we ran this exact same webinar, and Tara has been gracious enough to help us multiple times now. And in that session, one of the questions that had come up, and I wanted to bring it up again, was the teacher wasn't from a Common Core state. So her state hadn't implemented the Common Core, and wanted to know if she could search for things or find things not based on a standard, but based on a topic. And sorry, we're just doing a little technical difficulty as we turn Tara's microphone back on. Again, as I mentioned, this is the first time that we are trying this, but thought that this would be more interactive for you guys.
All right, so to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. While we did design these particular lessons with the Common Core standards in mind and really getting at the heart of each of those standards and unpacking them, if you go online and log into the product, you can do a search by topic. So even though a different state might not be calling the standard 5MD5C, surely 5th graders or 6th graders or 4th graders, in different states are going to be studying those same concepts, and you can do a search directly for things like volume or volume is additive, and pull up the very rigorous, visually engaging lessons that would be able to support your students in class no matter what standard you're teaching.
Okay, so the next one that I know that came up last week was if a teacher has taught for a while, and by the way, if you ever see me looking up over my screen, looking up over you guys, Tara is directly opposite me, so I'm looking at her directly because it's awkward to look at the camera, not look at her. But if a teacher has been teaching for a long time and they might just want a refresher or might just want to clarify what's new or newly expected within the Common Core standards, is this a good resource for them?
Yeah, so I would definitely say yes. As Bethany mentioned, I was a teacher for about 10 years, and unfortunately I hadn't heard about TenMarks at all until right before I joined the company. And this product at that time wasn't even out. And as I found myself working with the curriculum developers and writing and creating these lessons, the thing that went through all of our minds was, oh my gosh, I wish we had this as a teacher. I also have teacher friends that have been teaching for many, many more years besides 10 years. And there's always something new. You might, as a experienced experienced teacher, you have your favorite approaches and things that you know work and don't work, but you're always looking for new approaches and new inspiration. And I think one of the great things about our lessons is that they are approaching things in ways that maybe you hadn't thought of before, digging a little bit deeper into the standards that, hey, you've been teaching fractions or volume, for the last 15 years, but there are new things and new trends in education and new things that we're constantly learning, and I think that's one thing that teachers do really well is continue to learn and continue to grow as educators. And again, this is a resource that can help anyone from the novice to the more experienced.
And since we haven't seen questions coming in, and again, please feel free, if for some reason the Q&A tab wasn't working, please feel free to just post comments. We'll try to get those to Tara and get answers back to you if myself or one of my team can't help you. Wanted to bring up, we've left you on the Contact Us slide. Here you'll find the information on how to email support@tenmarks.com, also how to reach us via Twitter or Facebook. One of the other things that we know is really popular at this time of year is one of our courses called 101 Getting Started. And on support.tenmarks.com, or sorry, help.tenmarks.com, you will find a link to the webinars where you can actually get full hour-long courses. I think they're about an hour long. And this will give you really how to hands-on getting into things. We will be sure to send out a link to those courses when we send out the link to the replay of this webinar. Just so you know, it will automatically be posted on YouTube right after we finish. So at any point in time, you could go to reach it there. But we will, at the end of the three-part series this week, we will be sending out links to each of the sessions. So at this point, I'd like to thank you all for attending, and we will be wrapping up for the day. Thanks.